Okay, so we're going to coat this screen again. If you've seen the other video, you saw how we kind of screwed that up. So we're going to do it again with some freshly mixed emulsion. Okay, I'm going to be repeating everything. Is this the fresh?
Mm-hmm.
That's the fresh. Okay. So I need to pick a scoop coater that is the appropriate size for the screen that I'm working with. This just barely fits. That's not too bad. That would probably work. There's one that's a little bit smaller. Now the point is, this is polyurethane and this is tape. I want the scoop coater to go from polyurethane to polyurethane so that the entirety of the potential image area will be filled with emulsion. So between these two, I have maybe, it'd be nice if there was one that was like an inch between the two. This one barely covers. It might leave a little tiny bits of screen open at the edges. This one would cover it, but the risk with this one is that it might be a little bit harder to coat with an even coat. So I'm going to defer to the smaller one and accept that that might leave tiny little bits of screen open. And I can fill those later before I go to print. Now because this was recently used, there's a little bit of water in there and on the underside. So I'm going to grab a paper towel and make sure it's fully dry. I don't want any water sitting unmixed on the emulsion or in the emulsion. There's water in there, and so it could be stirred in, but if it's just sitting there, it'll cause a problem in the screen. Okay, so I have my scoop coater. The scoop coater has a more rounded side and a sharper side. Both can function. The rounded side is designed to apply a thicker coat of emulsion onto the screen. The sharper side is a thinner coat. We want to always use the sharper side. We want the thinner coat of emulsion. You want to take your thumbnail and run it up and down that sharper side. This is aluminum, which is fairly soft, so if somebody bangs this against a counter or a sink, it gets a pretty good dent in it. If there's a dent in it, that'll leave a ridge of thick emulsion all the way up your screen. So if you feel a dent, it needs to be filed and fixed. Now the filing can take, an instructor or somebody who's done it before, a good like 20 minutes of working with a file. So the best thing is don't dent it. Be careful with it and keep this edge nice and straight and sharp and flat. But if you have a dent in there, it may cause you a ridge. So the emulsion lives in the fridge, which is down here. So normally that's where you get it out of. It has, once it's mixed, it has a fairly short shelf life. So that shelf life will be extended if we keep it in the fridge. Now I need a quantity of emulsion in there that is about halfway up to the top here, or a little bit less, so that I can get a good coat onto the screen. Now I'm going to mime how to coat this before I actually put any emulsion in here. So I tend to hold it like this, where my thumbs are on the top of the rounded side and my fingers are on the bottom, so that I have good control of it that way. This is our system for locking in the screen. So you would take your screen and just gently lean it up against there, find the peg holes that are the right height for your screen, and then kick at the bottom. And that locks it in. Okay, so now it's not going to move while I'm coating it. Holding that, like the way I showed you, I'm going to kneel down. I want the scoop coater to start on the polyurethane at the bottom, and I'm going to press. See that? Fabric can press in. And then I'm going to tilt it, and I'm going to wait for the emulsion to make contact all the way across, left to right. And then when it is, I can go up and stop, keep the pressure on, tilt it back down, keep the pressure on, and then flick up and away like that. Of course, if I get to the top and I immediately just pull it away, it's going to drip all over the place. That's a problem. Another big common problem is people don't press hard enough with the scoop coater. So if you're just gently setting it up against there and you just go up, that's going to be way too thick of a coat of emulsion. And you saw that in a previous video when it's too thick there. And that's going to be a real big problem when we try to expose it. So again, just to cover all those little details, kneel down, start on the polyurethane in the bottom, centered left to right, and press. So you see that fabric push in, tilt, wait till it's in contact all the way across, and go up, stop, keep the pressure on, but tilt it down, wait a moment, and then flick up and away. Okay? That still may leave a ridge of emulsion, not only at the top, but also at the sides, because the emulsion may come out the edges. We'll need to scrape those off, either with a mat board card or a spatula. So you can see it's very thick, viscous stuff. I need it evenly distributed side to side. I'm putting in far more emulsion than I will actually need on the screen, because I need a certain quantity to be able to adequately coat the screen. So you see there the quantity, okay? If it's not even left to right, I need to kind of wiggle it back and forth until it is even. If it's really heavy at one side, then it'll go way out the end when I'm trying to coat the screen. One thing I neglected to mention is, I'll mime with this longer one. When I lift, I want to lift with my knees, not my arms. So watch the angle of the squeegee if I only lift with my arms. The angle of the squeegee in relation to the screen changes. That will change the quantity of emulsion. When I'm lifting, I need that angle to stay consistent. So I need to lift with my knees so that the angle of this stays really the same. Okay? So I'm going to grab this. It's locked in. If you're feeling unsure about whether it's locked in, keep your foot pressed against the base of the screen. Start it in the right spot. Press. Tilt. Wait for it to make contact all the way across. Keep the pressure on while you let it run back in, and then kind of flick up and away. And indeed, we have a few spots here and here that have been left open because we chose the slightly shorter scoop coater. That's fine. We will fill these later after we've exposed and developed and before we print. Okay? Pick it from the bottom, pull it out from the bottom. Don't try to pull it out from the top. Bring it down, out, turn it around. Same deal. Okay? Make sure it's even, left to right. Hold it with your foot at the bottom. Place, push. Tilt it up. And up. That still gave us thicker in the middle than we really want. If you watched the previous video, you know that we were having a similar problem worse than this, but similar problem. That makes me think that part of the problem is that this particular screen has gotten so slack, there's not enough tension in the fabric, that it pushes out too much with the scoop coater. So I can try to remove some. Didn't get any on that. I can try the other side. Didn't really get any there either. So I think that is a sign that this screen is ready to be retired and to be restretched. You should not see that problem. If you do, we'll get you a new screen, but I don't think that you'll see that problem. This one I've been avoiding checking out the students anyway because it's a little bit torqued. So that probably is a sign for why this screen is actually pretty old and why the tension has gone out on the screen. If the tension is correct, the mesh will stay flat up against the blade of the scoop coater. So whenever you coat the screen, you always want to inspect it this way with a light source behind it. And if you see a difference in thickness, that's really important to correct. You can try scraping away excess emulsion, as I just did a moment ago. And if that fails, you really don't have another option outside of reclaiming, washing all the emulsion off, let it dry, start again. We're going to move forward with this. You'll see me expose this. Because of the nature of our film positives, I think that'll be fine. However, you should understand that ideally the emulsion is a uniform thickness. Okay? Stop video.